Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is another evening walk with the pup, and of course, listening to my favorite audiobook at the moment had me thinking, had me reminiscing. And he was talking about he encourages his kids to talk to strangers, and it's funny because that's something that my mom always encouraged as well. Her expression was, "You can talk to strangers, just don't talk to creepy people." So I think that was a fair advice. But it had me reminiscing on some childhood stuff because he was saying he encourages his kids to talk to strangers because those are the people who, those relationships, those transactions, those business relationships, anything good in life is going to come from meeting and connecting and networking with strangers. And it just had me thinking about some childhood things like different like fundraising things I would do. And I feel fortunate because he is talking about introverting versus extroverting and that kind of a thing. And so I think we all have those characteristics and personality traits in us, and to put yourself out there and talk to strangers and introduce yourself and things like that is obviously always a task that kind of stretches you a little bit. But I was just thinking of, as a kid, when I would do, it was like the first memory I have of like going door to door was for like seasonal wrapping paper, and um, it was for like a fifth grade camping trip. And so the deal was that you all the kids would sell all the kids would sell like wrapping paper and wreaths, maybe not wreaths, but maybe it was just wrapping paper. There's all kinds of stuff for like Christmas time, like holiday season and that kind of stuff. And you would sell it, and you basically get a commission on it, and it would all go towards this camping trip that we had at the time. And it was a fifth grade camping trip, and it was a big deal. And I remember kind of feeling like like it wasn't going to be something that we'd be able to afford. And I don't know why, because it wasn't like I was really knew if we actually had money problems or anything like that. As a family, I wasn't super in tune with that. But for whatever reason at the time, I kind of felt like it was my responsibility to pay for this trip. So I took it really seriously. And one second, let's go this way, buddy. Hey. So I took it really seriously, like I got to pay for this trip. And I remember it felt like weeks. My mom and I went around, and I went door to door in my neighborhood and all over, and in other neighborhoods, and we would go on like Saturdays, and I would, and I was going door to door, just like literally knocking and trying to sell people wrapping paper, and my recollection of it was that I sold so much wrapping paper that it paid for not only my trip but for like 2 other kids' trips. So again, this is a distant memory, so I guess I can't go on record as all this being fact, but that is my recollection of it. And I actually just tried calling my mom to thank her for some of these things that we did as kids, because I thought of that, as well as the Jewish community that we grew up in. You'd always have different Sabbath dinners, and you'd be over at people's houses, and a big portion of kind of that Jewish upbringing was involving kids in adult conversations. And you'd have the verses and the portions of the Old Testament that would be read and interpreted, and there would kind of be a portion of the week that everyone you'd try and learn something from. And I remember sitting at tables with adults and giving my opinion when I was like 5 years old, like a young little guy. Well, maybe not 5, I don't know, whatever first or second grade is. And so that was a beneficial experience. And then those little like fundraising things that felt like there was at least a good handful of those that I did at a young enough age to where I felt confident. Same thing with fast forward to like high school. There was a trip to Guatemala that we did, and we're selling Christmas wreaths to raise money for it. And this one, I don't think I hit the target. I don't think I paid for the entire trip, but I definitely paid for a good portion of it. Going door to door selling wreaths, and then there was times where there was one, it was 8th grade, I wanted to go on this trip, and so I tried going door to door in businesses to get them to sponsor me. It was like a leadership trip. I remember going to the car dealership on Lake City Way, walking in, and I had like a little resume, and I was just going around seeing if anyone wanted to sponsor me to go to this student body leadership trip, and I ended up getting the middle school to pay for it. So that was kind of a little bit of a different story. And then there was another one where it was tuxedos. So senior year, it was for high school prom, and basically each of the local tux shops, they would have like one rep at each of the high schools, and you'd get kind of a commission where if basically if I sold a tuxedo, or if I signed up one of my buddies to buy a tuxedo from them, then it would take $10 off of their purchase and then $10 off of my purchase. And so then I remember I calculated it out. It's like I had to get like 20 guys to go through me to get my tuxedo paid for. And so, once again, I went, come on, buddy, come on. I went over and above that amount. And I remember I had my tuxedo paid for and then some, to the point where the guy was like, all right, do you want like a top hat or a cane with your tuxedo because you got all this extra money? And I was like, no, I'll just take the cash. So I'm pretty sure he was supposed to mail me a check. I don't think he ever did send me that check, but I wasn't really worried about it because I got a free tux rental out of it. So those are just those early experiences and wins at transacting with people and kind of working for a commission. And it's kind of funny because this goes back to feeling like a lot of the conveyor belt of life can kind of carry you possibly away from your purpose and your potential and these types of things. And by that I mean, looking back, the time that I spent in school where I wasn't interested necessarily in the subject, and I wasn't interested, all that opportunity cost, whereas had I just recognized my potential, as a merchant, I think that's what I want to be when I grow up, as a merchant. Had I just been pursuing that for 4 years and earning an income and creating breathing room for myself financially, maybe I'd be a lot further along. So anyway, a lot better late than never. I'm 28 years old right now. Got my first kid on the way, which is crazy. But yeah, I was just listening to the audiobook, and it sparked those memories, and I figured it was worth getting on record, because that's one of the things my mom has said for years. Is she said I should write a book about some of my childhood and some of my like middle school experiences, because it was just she thinks it's interesting. So I figured, well, in the meantime, before I actually write the book, I might as well get these recorded and on the internet, so that I can reference them later on. Because the fun ones, I'll do a video about like my relationship with teachers growing up, because I definitely was a little hellraiser. There was many teachers that we broke mentally and emotionally throughout my schooling career. So that'll be a fun, maybe I'll do just a video special just on that. So anyways, today was just about some of these early experiences. Hope you enjoyed and got something out of it, and talk to you soon. All right, bye.